Rashida is scared. That's the message fans are getting after a quiet moment backstage turned into a whirlwind of whispers, secrets, and serious tension. According to people close to the situation, Rashida recently confided in a friend, saying that Mendeecees is trying to silence her, and not just through words. She claims he's been sending her cryptic notes, dropping heavy hints, and even warning her not to release certain behind-the-scenes videos. What's in those videos? No one knows for sure, but Rashida says they could change everything. The conflict began during a private meeting about old footage, where Mendeecees reportedly told her to stay quiet or deal with what's coming. Since then, Rashida has skipped shoots, avoided events, and even limited her social media activity. Fans are now connecting the dots, wondering if something serious is happening behind closed doors. Is this just reality tension, or something much more personal? Whatever it is, the energy has shifted, and as the pressure builds, so do the questions. What is Rashida hiding? Why is Mendeecees so upset? And what happens if the truth finally comes out? Stay with us, because this story is only getting started. It all began with a quiet disagreement, the kind that usually stays behind the scenes. Rashida and Mendeecees were supposed to meet for a routine discussion about some unused clips from a previous shoot. It was supposed to be professional, quick, and nothing out of the ordinary. But according to insiders, the energy in the room was off the moment Mendeecees walked in. He didn't speak right away. He just looked at Rashida, then at her phone, then back at her with an expression that didn't need words. Tension started building before anything was even said. Rashida, trying to keep things light, joked about how crazy the footage had been, but Mendeecees wasn't smiling. Instead, he asked her a question that shifted everything. He said, "You still holding on to those clips?" Rashida thought he was joking, so she laughed and said, "Of course, why wouldn't I?" That's when his tone changed. He leaned in slightly and said, "You know some things don't need to be shared. Some things are better left alone." That sentence, though soft, hit heavy. Rashida felt something shift in the room, and it wasn't just awkward tension. It felt like a warning. Later that day, Rashida told a close friend that she didn't feel right about the conversation. She said Mendeecees wasn't loud, wasn't aggressive, but something about his words stayed with her. That night, she started rewatching the clips he was so concerned about. And the more she watched, the more confused she became. Nothing seemed too wild, but maybe there was something subtle, something that could be interpreted the wrong way. She didn't know what to think, but she knew Mendeecees clearly didn't want them seen. By the next week, the tension had spread. Production crews noticed that Rashida had stopped being her usual self on set. She was quieter, more withdrawn, constantly checking her phone. And then came the messages, short, vague, and unsigned. They weren't threatening in the traditional sense, but they weren't normal either. One said, "It's best to keep things clean." Another said, "Everyone has something to lose." At first, she brushed them off, thinking maybe they were just spam or weird trolls. But the timing was too specific, too aligned with what she and Mendeecees had just spoken about. Then came the third message, which simply said, "Don't test me." That was the one that made Rashida stop everything. She showed it to a close friend, someone who had worked on the show for years, and asked if they thought it could be for Mendeecees. The friend didn't say yes, but they also didn't say no. They just told her, "You know how serious some people are about their image. If you've got something that makes someone uncomfortable, they'll do whatever they can to make sure it never sees the light of day." Rashida didn't respond to the message, but she started acting differently. She skipped 2 scheduled shoots without explanation. When producers asked her why, she said she wasn't feeling well, but sources say she was scared. Scared of being alone in a studio, scared of bumping into the wrong person, scared of what might happen if she pushed this too far. And then, without telling anyone, she temporarily deactivated her main Instagram account. Fans noticed immediately, flooding comment sections and fan pages with questions. Where's Rashida? Why'd she go ghost? The theory started spinning. In the middle of all this, Yandy posted a photo with Mendeecees, captioned, "When people talk, stay silent. The truth always stands." It didn't take long for fans to connect the dots. Was this a response to Rashida? Was Yandy defending Mendeecees? Or was it just a coincidence? Either way, it only made the internet started buzzing with rumors, and the pressure on Rashida kept building. One evening, during a late-night production meeting, someone brought up the missing clips. A producer casually asked Rashida if she still had them. Her face reportedly turned pale, and she quickly changed the subject. One crew member later said, "It was like she didn't even want to admit they existed. Like just talking about them made her nervous." After that night, Rashida became even more cautious. She started using a different phone on set. She didn't tell anyone where she was staying. She even asked for her call times to be shifted so she could avoid certain people. The most alarming moment, according to someone close to the show, came when Rashida was seen quietly crying in her trailer. She was talking to someone on the phone, and the only words that could be clearly overheard were, "I don't know what he's capable of." That sentence spread like wildfire through the crew. No names were mentioned, but everyone assumed she was talking about Mendeecees. Then came the live moment that changed everything. Rashida went live late at night from what appeared to be her car. She didn't say much, just that people should always protect their peace, and that sometimes staying quiet is safer than telling the truth. The video didn't last long, but it was enough. Fans knew something serious was going on. The comments blew up with support, questions, and warnings. Some told her to stay strong. Others begged her to come clean about what was happening. But Rashida ended the live before anything could be revealed. The next day, one of the backup editors for the show posted something cryptic on their story. It said, "Some footage is too real for TV." That post was quickly deleted, but screenshots had already started circulating. Suddenly, everyone wanted to know what was on those clips, why Mendeecees was so invested in keeping them hidden, and why Rashida looked like she was on the verge of disappearing completely. What people didn't know was that the real pressure hadn't even started yet. Behind the scenes, Rashida was facing calls from unknown numbers, late-night knocks on her hotel room door that she refused to answer, and growing concern from people close to her. She had mentioned to one of her stylists that she was thinking of taking a break from the show entirely. The stylist reportedly asked her why, and Rashida just shook her head and said, "Because sometimes walking away is safer than being seen." The stylist didn't push further, but the fear in Rashida's voice was impossible to ignore. But even in all that silence, the tension was building towards something much bigger. Because while Rashida tried to lay low, Mendeecees was making moves of his own. A private call between him and one of the executive producers reportedly got very heated. Insiders say he demanded that none of the unused footage be aired or even mentioned in upcoming episodes. He didn't say why, but he was very clear that he wanted it buried. The producer allegedly pushed back, saying that decisions like that weren't his to make. And that's when Mendeecees reportedly said something that sent chills through the room. "If that footage gets out, don't say I didn't warn you." Those final words from Mendeecees, "Don't say I didn't warn you," echoed through every hallway of the production office. They weren't loud, but the weight behind them was undeniable. After that call, the executive producer reportedly ended the meeting early, clearly rattled. Word spread quickly among the crew, and soon everyone on set was whispering about the footage that had now become the center of this growing storm. No one knew exactly what was in it, but everyone agreed on one thing. Whatever it was, Mendeecees was willing to go to extreme lengths to keep it hidden. Back in her hotel room, Rashida had started double locking her door at night. She had even switched hotels twice in 1 week without telling anyone except her assistant. She no longer answered unknown calls, and during a ride to the studio, she told her driver, "If anything feels off, just keep driving. Don't stop." The fear in her voice was so intense, the driver later admitted to being shaken up for hours. Something had shifted inside Rashida. She wasn't just nervous anymore, she was terrified. Meanwhile, fans on social media were piecing together the breadcrumbs. One user posted a side-by-side screenshot of Rashida's late-night live and Mendeecees' recent post, captioned, This ain't just about Tiv anymore. Another claimed to have seen a private group chat among Love and hip-hop insiders discussing the possibility of blackmail. Speculation exploded. Had Rashida caught something on camera that could damage Mendeecees' image? Was there a scandal brewing beneath the surface that... There's a reason some of that footage never aired. It's not just about drama. It's about protecting reputations. And in this case, maybe even lives. Suddenly, this wasn't just a messy backstage issue. This was being viewed as a dangerous cover-up. And then came the first true breaking point. Rashida's assistant was approached by a man in a hoodie just outside a local cafe. According to her, he didn't say much, just handed her a folded note and walked away. Inside the note was a message written in all lowercase. Tell her to stop. No one wants to see what happens next. No name, no number, just that one sentence. The assistant immediately told Rashida, who reportedly broke down in tears on the spot. She knew now that this wasn't paranoia. Someone was watching. Someone wanted her quiet. The very next day, Rashida requested time off from filming. She claimed she needed space to deal with personal matters, but those who knew the truth understood what was really going on. She wasn't just overwhelmed, she was trying to disappear, trying to escape whatever invisible force had her feeling cornered. But the more she tried to step away, the more pressure mounted. Producers, trying to keep the show afloat, kept pushing for answers. Where were the clips? What did she plan to do with them? Was she planning to go public? Meanwhile, Mendeecees appeared calm on the surface, posting inspirational quotes and family pictures on social media like nothing was happening. But insiders said he was anything but calm behind closed doors. He'd been holding secret meetings with his manager, his lawyer, and a handful of trusted friends. One insider claimed that Mendeecees even started going through old emails and messages to find out who might be helping Rashida. The paranoia was growing, and according to someone close to the situation, he doesn't trust anyone right now, not even people he's known for years. What made things even stranger was that other cast members had started taking sides, some quietly, some publicly. One of the younger stars posted a vague tweet that read, "When you try to ruin someone, be ready for the consequences." Another simply tweeted, "Team Truth." Fans began dissecting every post, every like, every follow. Alliances were being formed in real time, and Rashida found herself more isolated than ever. Even her longtime friends were hesitant to speak out, fearing that they'd become targets too. Then came the mysterious voice memo, a 2-minute audio clip sent anonymously to a blogger, containing what sounded like a tense conversation between a woman and a man. The audio was muffled, but the man's voice was unmistakably similar to Mendeecees. In the clip, he says, "You know what I can do. Don't test me." The woman responds, "You're threatening me now." And he answers, "Take it how you want." The blogger didn't release the clip in full, citing legal concerns, but just the excerpt sent shockwaves through the fan base. People were demanding answers. Was the voice really his? And if so, what exactly was he capable of? Rashida remained silent, but her actions spoke volumes. She deleted dozens of old photos from her feed, unfollowed several cast members, and posted a black screen to her story with the caption, "Safety first." Behind the scenes, she was reportedly making arrangements to store the footage in a private cloud, protected with legal backup. She told her assistant, "If anything happens to me, make sure someone sees it." It was a chilling moment, and her assistant, visibly shaken, told a producer she was considering quitting altogether. By this point, the production company had caught wind of everything. An emergency meeting was held, and both Rashida and Mendeecees were asked to attend separate interviews. According to someone in the building, Rashida showed up visibly anxious, clutching her phone the entire time, barely speaking unless asked a direct question. Mendeecees, on the other hand, walked in calm, sat down, and answered every question with a smooth, almost detached tone. When asked about the alleged threats, he simply said, "I don't threaten people. I protect what's mine." It was vague but loaded with implication. The company decided to suspend filming temporarily, citing internal safety concerns. But by then, the damage had been done. The story was out. The cast was divided. The internet was ablaze. And Rashida, she wasn't sleeping. She was staying up most nights, checking locks, calling friends, and jumping at every unfamiliar sound. She knew something was coming. She just didn't know when. The fear started to consume her. She began recording herself every night. Online, fans were devastated. Messages of support poured in. People began urging her to come forward, to expose everything before it was too late. But that decision wasn't easy, because now it wasn't just about her and Mendeecees. It was about something bigger. Whatever was on those clips, whatever secrets they held, had the potential to change everything, not just for the show, but for everyone involved. And with every day that passed, the pressure mounted. Would she speak out? Would she release the footage? Or would fear keep her silent forever? Rashida paced her room, eyes bloodshot from another sleepless night. Every sound from the hallway made her flinch. She had started wearing headphones during the day, not to listen to anything, but just to block out the noise. The knocks, the whispers, the buzz of notifications that made her heart race. But despite her efforts to stay calm, the storm inside her only grew louder. She couldn't stop thinking about the clips, about what she had seen, and how far someone might go to keep it hidden. Every day that passed without her speaking out felt like a gamble with her own safety. Mendeecees hadn't contacted her again directly, but the silence was worse. It wasn't just absence, it felt calculated. Some fans began theorizing that he was intentionally going dark to make Rashida second-guess herself, to make her feel alone. And it was working. She had begun to question her own instincts. Maybe she was overreacting. Maybe this wasn't as dangerous as she thought. But then, just as she considered letting it all go, another message arrived. This time it was a photo, slid under her door in the early morning hours. It was a screenshot from the unreleased footage, proof that someone else had access to it. In the photo, Mendeecees could be seen mid-conversation, clearly angry, with someone blurred in the background. A post-it note was attached. "Still think you're the only one holding cards." Rashida's stomach dropped. It wasn't just about her anymore. The footage had spread. The control she thought she had was slipping away. She contacted her assistant and told her to meet at a new location. When they sat down, Rashida didn't speak at first. She just pulled out the photo and placed it on the table. Her assistant's hands shook. "This is bad," she whispered. Rashida nodded. "Someone's trying to scare me off, and it's working." But even in her fear, something inside Rashida shifted. She was tired of running, tired of hiding. She didn't want to live like this anymore. They made a plan, not to release everything, not yet, but to send a warning of their own. Rashida would drop hints, controlled ones. She'd start speaking vaguely in interviews, teasing what she knew, but never revealing too much. She needed to see how far they were willing to go. She needed leverage. Her first post went live that night, a throwback photo of her and Mendeecees from an old event, captioned, "Some moments age worse than others." Fans flooded the comments. Some accused her of being messy, others begged for context. The fire had been lit. Mendeecees responded within hours. He posted a black and white photo of himself, looking off into the distance, captioned, "Truth always comes out." Remember that. It was subtle. It was vague. But for those who've been following the drama, it was a direct shot. The online war had begun. Blogs picked it up instantly. Headlines like Rashida and Mendeecees drop cryptic threats and hidden feud boiling over were everywhere. Everyone wanted to know what was really going on behind the scenes. What made things worse was when another cast member suddenly spoke out, not directly, but through a live stream that quickly went viral. She claimed to have seen things that would make people question everything. She didn't name names, but the timing was impossible to ignore. Fans started connecting dots, digging into old footage, speculating about scenes that never aired and rumors that had once been dismissed as gossip. The drama was reaching new heights, and Rashida knew she was running out of time. One night, she got a call from a blocked number. She hesitated but answered. The voice on the other end was calm, almost too calm. "Stop playing games. You're putting people at risk." Before she could respond, the line went dead. She stared at the phone in silence, her heart pounding. She recorded a voice memo immediately after, describing the call, the tone, and every word she could remember. She wasn't going to forget anything this time. She had to stay one step ahead. Despite everything, a backup copy, just in case. During a break in filming, she crossed paths with Mendeecees in the hallway. They hadn't spoken face to face since everything began. He looked at her, eyes unreadable. "We good?" He asked casually. She didn't answer, just walked past him, her breath shaking. Later, she told her assistant, "He's pretending like nothing happened, like this is just another storyline. But I know better, and now he knows I know." That night, Mendeecees went live. It was brief, only a couple minutes, but enough to spark a wildfire. He said people out here acting scared when they're the ones stirring the pot. Don't let the camera fool you. Off screen, people play a whole different game. Fans flooded the comments. Some defended him, others demanded clarity. But Rashida watched the whole thing in silence, her fingers clenching the US drive. She could feel the walls closing in. Her assistant received another message. This time, it was an email from a dummy account. No text, just an attachment. Inside was a short clip, part of the footage. Someone had leaked it. In it, Mendeecees is seen arguing with a crew member, his voice rising, his words sharp. "You don't know who you're dealing with," he says, jabbing a finger toward the camera. The clip ends abruptly. The assistant panicked. "It's starting," she said. Rashida nodded slowly. "Yeah, and it's too late to stop now." Blogs exploded. The leaked clip went viral in minutes. Fans were shocked. Hashtags started trending. Hashtag the footage, hashtag what is Rashida hiding, and hashtag Mendeecees truth dominated Twitter. People demanded answers. The network released a statement denying involvement and promising to investigate. But behind the scenes, chaos was erupting. Cast members were being questioned. Security was tightened. And Rashida, she was done hiding. She started recording a sit-down video. Raw, emotional, and real. She didn't name names. She didn't show clips. But she looked directly into the camera and said, "When you're threatened, when you're pushed into silence, you start to lose yourself. I won't let that happen. Not anymore." Her voice trembled, but her words hit like thunder. The video was scheduled to drop at midnight, and while she waited, she sat alone in her room, heart pounding, watching the minutes tick by. As the clock hit 12, the video went live. Within minutes, the views started climbing. Tens of thousands, then hundreds. Fans flooded the comments with support, disbelief, and theories. Some begged her to release everything. Others warned her to be careful. The internet was divided, but one thing was clear: something big was happening, and no one knew where it would go next. Rashida sat on the edge of her bed, refreshing the video stats again and again. The numbers were climbing faster than she expected. Within an hour, her emotional sit-down had crossed 1 million views. Messages poured in from fans, influencers, bloggers, even people she hadn't spoken to in years. Some offered support, others urged caution, and a few told her to stop before it was too late. But Rashida wasn't backing down. Not now, not after everything that had happened. While most people watched the video and praised her courage, others were digging deeper. Online sleuths started revisiting old episodes, searching for clues. Tiny moments that once seemed irrelevant were now being analyzed frame by frame. A brief glance here, an awkward silence there. Fans created timelines, maps of possible motives, and speculation threads that ran hundreds of comments long. But in the middle of all this noise, something even more disturbing surfaced, another clip. This time, the footage didn't come from Rashida's hands or her assistant's backups. Someone else had it, and they weren't playing nice. The leaked clip showed a behind-the-scenes exchange between Mendeecees and a producer. The sound was muffled at first, but clear enough to make out what mattered. Mendeecees was angry, pacing back and forth. He said, "If this gets out, it's not just the show that's done. People's lives will get ruined. Don't forget who's invested in this. The producer tried calming him, but Mendeecees pointed a finger in his face. This isn't a game. Handle it. The clip spread like wildfire. Bloggers raced to break it first, and within hours, it had been viewed millions of times. Fans were stunned. Those who doubted Rashida before were now convinced she had been sitting on a powder keg. Had set in. Multiple cast members were brought in for questioning. Security teams were doubled on set. Phones were confiscated. Even makeup artists were told not to speak to anyone without clearance. The set had turned into a war zone. Rashida knew her safety was at risk now more than ever. She wasn't staying at her house. She moved between hotels, used different drivers, and stopped posting her location. Every time she heard a knock, her heart jumped. Her assistant barely slept. They were constantly checking messages, tracking views, and monitoring mentions. Everything was happening so fast, but the storm hadn't even peaked yet. Then came the private meeting request. Not from the network, not from a lawyer, but from Mendeecees himself. The message was simple. We need to talk. No cameras, no noise. Rashida hesitated. Everything in her screamed not to trust it. But she also knew this might be the only chance to end things before they spiraled even further. She agreed on one condition. The meeting would happen in a public place, during the day, with witnesses nearby. They met at a small restaurant on the edge of town, where the staff was paid to mind their business. Rashida walked in first, wearing sunglasses and a hoodie. Mendeecees was already there, waiting. He didn't look angry. He looked tired, like the weight of everything had finally caught up to him. They sat down, and for a moment, neither of them spoke. Finally, he said, "I never meant for it to go this far." Rashida leaned in. "Then why didn't you stop it?" He shook his head. "You don't understand. This isn't just about us. There are deals, money, people who don't want their names in this. The footage you have, it could burn everything to the ground." "Maybe it needs to burn," she replied coldly. He sighed, rubbing his face. "You think you're protecting yourself. I get it. But once this gets out, you won't just be dealing with backlash. You'll be dealing with people who don't care about TV ratings. People who solve problems, permanently." Rashida stared at him. "Is that a threat?" "It's a warning," he said quietly. "One I should have given you sooner." They parted without resolution. Rashida left the restaurant with her stomach in knots. Everything she feared was being confirmed. But even with the danger, she couldn't turn back. The truth was already unraveling. Trying to stop it now would only make her look guilty, or worse, complicit. That night, another twist dropped. A third party, someone neither she nor Mendeecees had considered, uploaded their own version of events. A former crew member who had worked closely on the show for years. In a grainy video recorded from their phone, the person said, "This isn't about just one fight. This goes deeper." The cover-ups, the pressure, the threats, it's been happening for a long time, and everyone on set knew it. The video ended with the shocking claim that the network had quietly paid off multiple people to keep the show's darkest moments from ever reaching the public. Fan theories exploded, names were dropped, old scandals resurfaced. Even cast members who had been silent until now started reacting. One posted a broken heart emoji. Another wrote, "I told y'all it was fake." The illusion of reality TV had been shattered. Meanwhile, Rashida received an anonymous package at her hotel, no return address. Inside was a burner phone, already powered on. A message displayed on the screen. "They know where you are. Time's running out." Her hands trembled. She dropped the phone like it was burning her skin. Her assistant grabbed it, quickly removing the battery. They both stared at it in silence. "This isn't just drama anymore," the assistant whispered. "This is survival." Rashida nodded slowly. She wasn't just fighting to protect herself now. She was fighting to expose a system that had been covering its tracks for years. But she also knew the window was closing. Once the network realized how much was leaking, they'd do anything to silence it. The next move had to be big. She couldn't just post another cryptic video. She needed to show people the truth. Undeniable, unedited, the full footage, every second. She and her assistant began preparing. files were backed up in multiple locations. Messages were sent to trusted bloggers with instructions. If anything happened to her, the footage would go live anyway. The decision was made. The upload was scheduled for 48 hours later. Until then, she would lay low, hide in plain sight. But inside, she was preparing for war. Because once that video dropped, there would be no going back, no rewrites. Continues to unfold, the story of Rashida, Mendeecees, and the shocking revelations keeps getting more intense. With so much uncertainty around what will happen next, we can only speculate about how this explosive saga will end. Will Mendeecees finally come clean about the truth, or will they keep trying to silence those who threaten to expose the darkest secrets of the show? And will Rashida's brave decision to go public end up saving her career, or will the forces behind the scenes finally crush her? The next 48 hours could change everything, and fans are eager to know what comes next. It's clear that everyone involved has something to lose, and the stakes have never been higher. What do you think? Do you believe Rashida's move is the right one, or is she playing a dangerous game? Should Mendeecees be given a chance to explain himself, or is it time for the truth to come out once and for all? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Make sure to like this video if you think the truth should be revealed, and subscribe for more updates on this unfolding drama. We'll be keeping an eye on any new developments, and trust us, you won't want to miss what's coming next. Stay tuned.